Hey folks, it's CJ. I'm in my apartment. I just seen this guy, Chris Helmsworth, in Thor: Love and Thunder, right beside Natalie Portman. And look at those arms, right? Like I'm telling you, she did the whole like Linda Hamilton T2 workout or something like that to get her arms jacked like that for this role. Okay, so this was a good movie. It was fun. Marvel movies, there's a couple of bits of that franchise that stand out as being a little bit more on the lighter side. They always have a little bit of humor, uh, but some of the ones, Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor in particular, those two bits of the franchise for me really have been typically really light and fun, even as they do address some characters that have some peril. And that there is peril. Uh, the Jane Foster character has some peril that leads her to become uh, the female Thor, but it's so, unexplored. Maybe there's going to be a director's release or something like that where some more of the tragic part is played out in this movie because they've got a good of comedic they got a good bit of comedic timing, and some of the things would just be or it seems like it seems like, okay, it's very formulary. There's a group of kids in a cage held by the villain, and it's like, but that usual, hey, that's kind of cool, but we gotta make it seem like it's play. We can't actually like torture the kids or anything like that. So, but it's cool. It's cool. So I love this character of Thor. This movie, there are some bits where they deal with some heavy subject matter, and the opening, the prologue, deals with that, and it is the backstory of the villain, and it's very tragic. It's very tragic, and actually, the actor, it's a standout performance. And the actor I didn't recognize. I thought it was Jim Carrey at first. It's not Jim Carrey at all. Uh, it's Christian Bale. And the reason why I got that confused at, in the very just for a fleeting moment in the back of my mind was because Christian Bale did such a good job all those years ago when he did American Psycho, and he played the Patrick Bateman character, and he played that character so zany and so satirical and so over the top and so just ridiculous that it seemed to me the way that Jim Carrey would have played that character if Jim Carrey were playing that character. Like maybe the director said, "Hey, dude, be Jim Carrey." You know what I mean? So when I'm sorry, Patrick Bateman, when Christian Bale is hysterical, uh, he is identical to me to Jim Carrey when Jim Carrey is hysterical. So yeah, what I want to do is I want to talk about this movie a little bit. I'm going to get back to this picture because it's kind of awesome. The soundtrack heavily features Guns N' Roses songs, which makes sense. Guns N' Roses were among the first, if they weren't the first, hair metal band of the 80s to say, you know what, we are not glam. We're going to like not wear makeup. We're not going to do permed up hair. We're not going to, wear silvery clothes and everything like that. So what happened is that when Thor is introduced after the titles roll, uh, the title clips, I should say. It's after the prologue, after the introduction of the Christian Bale character. What happens is this guy comes along, and when he's traveling with the Guardians of the Galaxy, there's some cameos there. But when he does his reveal as the hero, he's not wearing this. He's not wearing his garb. He is basically wearing what would look like late 80s, mid 90s, comfort wear, uh, dude wear, like a sleeveless vest and all that. And he's kicking ass, and he's doing what he does, Uh, and then, of course, he comes to, you know, travel and come to the aid of his people. And there is, of course, uh, Jane Foster as Thor, and she now has the hammer. So uh, I love this. I don't want to give too much away about the plot. I'm going to say if you haven't read the reviews, you should read the reviews. Um, it's a great movie. It's fun. It's not gonna. It's not gonna win any awards because it's not an award-winning movie. Although Christian Bale turns in a great performance with his character. He's just not given much lease that I would love to really see him do this, because his character could have been the tragic Shakespearean tale, you know, that character's backstory, and if they had gotten into that, and Jane Foster, you know, and you know, and then the love, the heart wrenching love, you know, that's always been kind of played off the cuff, and it's been played for laughs in the Thor uh, franchise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I get it. It's these movies are about fun, and it kind of like there's a quite a bit of levity in here, and it is an action movie. It's not a drama movie. It's not a romance even. It's central heart uh, is an action movie. So you'll enjoy it if you enjoy these movies. There's some missed opportunity with Christian Bale and his character as the villain that he plays, because he really gets lost in here. If you really, you almost have to look for Christian Bale or to really know him. And if it weren't for there's just the fact that I've seen him in so many movies, because he does not look like himself. The makeup does not hide him. It's not the makeup. It's not the effects that hide him uh, as an actor behind this character. It's that he goes so deep into the character, and he turns in uh, really probably one of the best performances that he's done. But being that this is a superhero action flick, uh, basically it's very, very family friendly. Very family friendly. You're gonna, you're not gonna see Christian Bale get an award. So what I want to talk about real quick, when I first came across Thor, the comic book character, he would come and take the host of. He would take a human host. He would possess a human, and he'd be Thor, and then he'd do his thing and everything like that, and then he would give the body back. And it turned out that character really was the modern incarnation of Thor, and and so they sort of segued to, and they kind of like dropped that aspect of Thor and actually just Thor coming to Earth as Thor, whatever. It's like as the writers throughout the years had tried things out, but that specific aspect of it has always been a bit like Captain America, not Captain America. What I'm talking, Captain Marvel, who it's basically elements of different gods, powers, and everything like that, and they come and they strike down Billy Batson, who was a 12-year-old originally. In the movie, he's older than that, but he was a 12-year-old, and then he would turn into this grown god, a man with the power of all the gods, and he'd go out and do this stuff. So, and then, of course, if you're familiar with that story, then you know that he went on with the Captain Marvel family. There was an Uncle Marvel. There was and this was with DC, because he used to be called, instead of Shazam, the character was called Captain Marvel. So I'm not talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe female Captain Marvel, which initially was first also a man, but I'm talking about, Billy Batson of DC Comics, originally from Fawcett Comics, actually, and DC bought them. Uh, after a court battle because the character was too much like Superman. But whatever. Anyway, so that was before there were like superheroes all over the place. Today it would be like, yeah. But anyway, so Captain Marvel, Shazam, he has the ability to take his powers and spread them among other people. Uh, and that is something, that is something that that this Thor does at some time, at some point in the movie. I'm not gonna give more about that. I'm just gonna say that this movie, uh, yeah, there are some aspects of this movie that throws some shade at DC, not in a Deadpool kind of way, but just hey, you know that we're answering back to that. So there is a dialogue that's happening, uh, however unintentional, but really very intentional, between the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe. You know, and they're playing with each other in the same way that they do in the comic books, and that actually makes each one of the comic companies better. And I think that's going to drive, and I think it's going to make each one of the movies better. It was really great to see some Avenger characters, even though it's not an Avengers movie. I'm really happy they did not go into all the whole like multiverse. Uh, I feel like the multiple universe angle. We get it, you know, as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We get it. It's there, you know. Uh, Now can we tell some other stories until it's time to really address what's going on with that, you know? Uh, yeah. So, and then that's kind of cool. I'm really looking forward to the Flash movie next year in DC, which would be like really getting into the DC version of the multiverse because they did it first in comic books before any of the other comic books. I'm not saying they were the first ones to come up with the concept of a multiverse, but to do it in such a way that it was significant all across the board for the DC company. They were the first ones to do it. Uh, and to me, they still did it best. I always thought that Crisis on Infinite Earths in 85/86 was uh, the first really big multiverse moment in comic book history, but they'd actually done it way back, even long before that time. It turns out so, uh, but it was that. But that was the best version for me that I remember. So anyway, yeah, and it did it. It did it again, and they did it on the TV, the DC Arrowverse shows, the crossovers and stuff like that. They were slick how they did it too, and they built up. I think it started with I don't know. I do know that when they did it and involving six shows that were on the air, and then a lot of old shows, and then they brought in the DC uh, EU with you know uh, the movie universe version of Flash into the Speed Force. Um, it's a trip. So okay, so I'm over talking my screen here, and I'm not flipping through enough pictures and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and say, well, I don't do the whole thumbs up and thumbs up down because that's kind of like Siskel and Ebert kind of thing. I need a clever way of like rating either an approval or disapproval. I don't want to say here's three, four, 5 stars or whatever. I want something that's kind of a, uh, you know what? I think I got it. I don't know if anyone's doing checks or X's. So this movie gets a check. Okay, that's a check. Uh, and then if I were to say this movie sucks, I would give it an X. Uh, no, that's not going to work either because that looks like I'm grading it for porn, which is usually in movie quality would be like no, terrible. They have no artistic quality whatsoever, except it's like naked people having sex. So that would be a check instead of an X. But no, I think we get it. I think this movie is going to get a check because it's a good movie. And if it were a bad movie, it would get. It would get an X. Yeah. Uh, so no, I can't do that. That's too. I can't do because of the X rated. I can't. I can't wrap my separation around that. Maybe I could say, uh, ah, this is a uh, no. Can't say it's a G rated movie. Good for good. I have to come up with something. I need something that works. I need any ideas, put them in the comments. How am I gonna say uh, this is a yes and this is a no, you know. Maybe I should be all simple, but that's not clever enough, you know. So I can't just say yes or no. You know, I have to be like and then I'm not like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, Well, think about that. I'll think about it. I'll come back. I'm gonna because I love movies, and I love rock concerts, and I love getting out, and I love seeing different events in the neighborhood and everything. Shreveport, Bossier, Louisiana, and what I want to do is I want to be able to talk about those experiences. If it's a good time, okay. So, and if things suck, you know. So, yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know. And then it's got to be something that fits my personality, which is God knows what the hell that is because I don't even know. Uh, but yeah, eccentric. There's that, or less, less flamboyantly uh, weird uh, person who's less flamboyant than I used to be, but still not so bland, but also is kind of ordinary and not ordinary at the same time. I don't know. Have you ever had to do one of those exercises where you had to think about who am I? Whatever, you know. I know who I am. It's just I'm hard to define, you know. Uh, to myself, I don't have the words, and I'm pretty much a thesaurus, and I'm also an egomaniac, and I love talking about myself. I actually meant to review the movie Thor: Love and Thunder, and the best. One of the best rating systems I remember when I was a kid, I used to sneak the magazines, the Penthouse magazines or whatever, and when you'd read the little reviews in the back, and so the ratings would be like, you know, uh, you know, flaccid, semi, or perfectly erect or whatever. So that was, I can't really, I, I need something clever like that. But ooh, ooh, I know, I know. This is what I'll do because I love movies. I will talk about movies that are worth seeing in a theater, that maybe are worth seeing in IMAX, that are worth seeing in IMAX 3D, or maybe they're worth waiting until they're for free at your local library. Uh, this is one that I would spend the money to see in a standard theater. So this is going to get a standard rating. But I'm going to give it a standard plus. And if it were kind of on the wonky side, then I would give it a standard minus. So this is a standard plus. That I say as I'm talking, I'm working out my rating systems for when I do movie reviews. Elvis, by the way, I did see in standard. It was a standard plus because it was not a big effects film. I went to see Elvis 2 or 3 nights ago. Standard plus. Uh, it didn't have the big effects. What it did have was some really great prosthetic work. And I'm giving that rating for the movie because I did not have this. So what I'll do is I will rate when I'm talking about movies the where I would see them, where I would invest, not where I actually did see them. Because if I don't have $35 to go see a movie in IMAX 3D, I will end up seeing it in standard. But I will be like, gee, if I do that, then I'll say that. But then I'll also say, gee, if I could, I would have seen it, and I would have spent the $35 or whatever for the powerhouse 3D IMAX 4D real sound with the freebie tokens and all that kind of good stuff. So, but it's it's cool. Got to keep it real, uh, but I also have to be budget friendly too. I saw this in standard plus because it was a positive experience, and I don't know about just going to see movies in IMAX. Theater IMAX that I have, like I'm used to IMAX being like a screen that just encompasses and just rolls all up on the ceiling, and you're laid back like that, and you're basically inside of the movie almost because it wraps around. I don't get that from the megaplexes. All I get is going to see a movie on a bigger screen, but it's not so much of a bigger screen that if I really want that much of an experience, I can just sit on the first few rows of the movie theater and the screen's going to be just as big as it is midway back in an IMAX. Do you know? Like that's the truth of it. So I don't know that spending money for megaplex IMAX is worth, like, this movie at standard was $10.50, and she was going to initially charge me like $18.50, almost $19, uh, for an IMAX viewing, and I'm like, well, no, I don't need this. Why do I need to see an IMAX movie? Well, that makes, if I want to feel like I'm being swallowed up by a movie screen, I'll just sit on the first row and watch it with a stiff neck. You know what I mean? Like it, especially if you're in one of the theaters that has like reclining seats. Why the hell would you pay for an IMAX? Why wouldn't you just recline back and just look all up at the movie from the first or second row or something like that, and have a whole IMAX experience and not be able to see your peripheral? You know what I mean? So yeah, usually standard is just fine for me. And now I'm sounding more and more like the old curmudgeon version of my younger self. So I'm a less flamboyant, more curmudgeonly uh, person. And so, yeah, there are some movies that I would go see in 3D. If I can go see like a DC, like the Flash movie when it comes out, I will probably want to see that in 3D just because I love those characters. And there's going to be so much. It's going to be a pivotal point in the DCEU. We already know that. There's going to be some definition that happens with that because it's been the first time we visited those characters. I don't know if that's going to be the case for Black Adam or not. They have really yet to tie the Shazam into it. I know there was like some a little bit of a mention and tie-in, but it does take place in the same universe uh, and everything. But you know, uh, it's more like Shazam has mentioned the other characters. So we have a Shazam movie coming out. We have the Black Adam movie coming out, and the Super Pets. I guess that's going to take place in the DC expanded universe also. So we'll check that out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end this video on a hopefully anticipatory note of these movies coming up because I love these movies, and also my phone has not yet died, and I've not yet lost room for the videotape. If I kept talking, I'll run out. It'll just stop dead off in the middle of my interviews. Thanks for enduring for enduring my gratuitous review of this movie, but I love it. Thor: Love and Thunder. Go check it out, and comment below. Let me know what you think. any of the 5 of you that are following me, I promise I love you. Bye.